All right, moving right along, what we're going to talk about next here are some very common pentatonic scale variations. And what these are, they're throwing in one or two extra notes here or there into what you're normally associated with the pentatonic patterns. And it kind of brings out certain tones that you wouldn't normally hit over certain chord progressions, but it kind of makes your playing, it gives it a little bit of a highbrow type of feel. You're hitting extra notes that are bringing out some really cool tones over the progressions, and they work really well for turning your typical mundane pentatonic sound, your pentatonic licks, into a little bit more of an educated type of sound, like you know a little bit more about what you're playing, and it'll help you stand out, that's for sure. So let's go ahead and take a look at a few of these licks. There's 3 for major and 2 for minor. Alright, so the first variation we're going to talk about for the major pentatonic scale is the add 4 variation. What we're doing is we're throwing in the 4th scale degree, which in this context is C, into the normal pattern 3 major pentatonic. You can do this with any other pattern, but for the sake of time, I'm only going to do these in one pattern. So let's take a look at what that sounds like. And the thinking behind this one is, over certain progressions where you would use major pentatonic a lot, like country type of progressions and some other rock type of progressions, the major 7 of F sharp is a very clashing note. It's a minor second interval, so the notes are real close together, so it's not really a note that you want to land on a whole lot. So in order to avoid landing on it altogether, we are just cutting it right out of the scale. So you're playing basically a G major scale just without the 7th interval. And it gives you a couple of extra notes to throw around in your pentatonic patterns, so that way you can get a little bit more variation out of your licks with it, get a little bit more mileage with them. Okay, so moving right along, what we've got now is the add minor 3rd variation for the major pentatonic scale. What we're doing is we're throwing in the minor 3rd, in this instance B flat, right before the B natural into the major pentatonic sound. And here's what it sounds like. It's very country kind of bluegrass type of thing. That's the type of licks you can get out of this variation. And if you use this variation and then switch to the other variations, it kind of gives it a little bit more of a country kind of twangy type of sound. It's actually where they get those atypical country and bluegrass ending licks from. I know all of you, at least most of you, have heard that at some point in your guitar playing lives, and that's where they get that one from. That's the idea behind that type of lick. You can use it in any key, try it out in all the other positions to see what it sounds like and feels like as well. Alright, so this next one's a little bit of a modal idea, and what we're doing is this is based off of the G Mixolydian mode. And that is G major with a flatted 7 or an F natural in there. And this works over a dominant 7 chord type of sound. It's very bluesy, very major blues type of thing, what they do a lot. So, here's how it sounds. So what we're doing is we're skipping the 2nd scale degree of A and going straight to the major 3rd of B. Then we're going to add in the C, then play the 5th, and then we're going to add in the F natural instead, the flatted 7. So try that one out over some dominant and country type of blues sort of progressions. Alright, so now we're going to move on to the minor pentatonic variations. There's 2 of these, and the first one is called the add 9 or add 2 variation. So what we're doing is we're going to play these 2 based out of pattern 4 for G minor pentatonic, which is this one. And so what we're doing with this first one is we're throwing in the 9 or 2 of A into that pentatonic pattern. And here's what it sounds like. It works to kind of bring out kind of a jazzy type of tone over certain minor progressions, like minor blues or just any normal minor progression. You can use it with any of your standard pentatonic licks already. Stuff like that. Alright, so the next most common variation for the minor pentatonic scale is actually a scale unto itself, and a lot of you have probably already heard of it. It's called the blues scale. What this is minor pentatonic with a flatted fifth thrown in. So in this case, D flat. So here's what it sounds like. Obviously, as the name implies, it's great over blues type of progressions and any just kind of a minor type of sound. It's cool to throw in there, definitely. So now that we've got those out of the way, all these different variations, try them in every other pattern. Get them under your fingers because it definitely helps. One blues scale lick is going to sound completely different in pattern 3 versus in pattern 4 or pattern 1 even, or any of those patterns. So get them under your fingers in all the different patterns so you can really expand your lick vocabulary and be able to pull out some really cool licks every now and again if you're improvising or jamming over something with somebody, and I guarantee you'll turn some heads. Alright, moving on to the last bit of the video for today. What we're going to do is an exercise that you can use in both major and minor tonalities, and what we've got here is I've got my metronome on ready, set at 50 beats per minute, subdivided in 8 notes. Sounds like this. That's one measure. So what we're going to be playing are sextuplets. And we're going to move up one pattern, down the next, up the next, and so on until we get back to the beginning again, and we're going to end on an octave. And so the goal is to move quickly between all these patterns and get them all under your fingers so you can start pulling out better, tastier, nastier licks and break out of that one main pentatonic box that everybody knows and plays all the time. That was my biggest problem before I came to school. Was I knew pentatonic licks and I knew all the other boxes, but I didn't know them well enough to where I could move between them fluently. And now I can, because of this exercise that I came up with while I was here, to work on it. Get them all under my fingers so I can branch out and play different sounding pentatonic licks. Believe it or not, if you play the same lick in a couple of different patterns, you're going to pick it and play it differently, and it's going to sound a little bit different because of the timbre of the strings where you're playing it, whether it's up here or down here or anything like that. You're going to kind of play them a little bit differently, especially over certain different styles. So this is a great way to get more mileage out of your licks. So let's move on to the exercises and then we'll be done with this video. Exercise number 1. Let's try it a little faster. Exercise number 2. And a little bit faster. Alright, that's it for this video lesson. Keep checking back for more. If there's any topics you would like me to cover, please send me an email or a message on YouTube and I will do my best. As always, I have created a PowerTab file lesson associated with this video. If you would like it, send me an email with your email address and I will kindly send one back to you free of charge. Let me know. That's it for now.